Coming up on the show, building the ultimate $2,000 ESXi white box server from start to finish. All that and more on this episode of Hack 5. This episode of Hack 5 is brought to you by GoDaddy, Squarespace, Gamefly, and viewers like you.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Hack 5. I'm Matt Lestock.
I'm Darren Kitchen.
And I'm Shannon Morse.
And we have the show that a lot of you have been asking about recently since we started the ESX series, and that being building a purpose-built machine specifically for ESXi. Now we know that we can actually take some hardware that we have laying around and install ESXi on that.
We've done that before, plenty of times.
But you have a need for some hardware, so that's what we're doing today.
I do. Well, okay, remember how like a while ago I talked about how basically there are two different types of admins. There's you with your boss that just goes, here's the Amex, have fun. And then, there's me that's more of a maintenance admin because we don't have a whole lot of money, and then, because I'm with a small company. And then what I do, I really got to make it stretch, especially, in these tough economic times, take a shot. Gotta make this stuff stretch. So
yeah, I mean it's to the point where your infrastructure is aging much quicker than it had been. So while everything was good, now things are approaching level of criticality that it's like we need to spend a little bit of money on this.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. We've got a server here now. Talking about purpose built.
Yeah.
So your goal was to get the most that you possibly could out of $2,000.
That was the budget. It was $2,000. So it was like $1,950 shipped. So probably should have thrown in some more thumb drives from my happy funness. But anyway, the point being is that what I need these to do are basically run domain controller. A couple of Windows boxes. I need them to, just set up the AD, the VPN, the RRAS, the, a couple of little doodads here and there. Mainly like accounting systems and a couple other of those, hosted web application tools.
And
IIS.
All of your servers in the office now, are they all taken and used for some purpose or another? So you don't have anything free to play with.
That's the thing, is everything is physical, right? So I mean, I can play all I want in my little test lab upstairs with junk hardware that I've got laying around. It's one thing to play with that and learn and experiment and be like, wow, I could really totally replace this network with a single machine. Yeah. But I'm not about to take a spare AMD that I got laying around and actually deploy that and expect it to run, and I wouldn't call it nobody's gonna die if the web server's down for 10 minutes.
The web server is down, the web server is down.
See the web server's down. The server's down. Anyway, awesome. But yeah, so it's nice to have, because it's just like 4 or 5 servers that are physical machines. 2 of them are like that
are running
2000.
An average of what, 5 to 10% CPU utilization?
Yeah, it's pretty pathetic, but anyway, so we got some money. We're going to play with some fun stuff, and so that's what we're getting at here, is building a general purpose ESXi server for your enterprise. This isn't specifically for we need the best database server you can get for $2,000,
right?
Or best application server. This is basically your best general server.
But anyway, so this is not that purpose. We don't have 15,000 RPM drives. We don't have a dual Xeon running, that kind of stuff.
But very akin to if you're a viewer of Patrick's show, Techzilla, you'll know that the $500 gaming rig can exist, and I'm saying the $2,000 rack mount happy server to replace 4 aging pieces of crap is doable as well.
Yeah,
so let's get into it.
Because I'm waiting for you to hurt yourself.
Yeah, well, that too. Oh, I did want to mention that one of the other reasons why I'm going this route is because, we're a Dell shop, okay?
So
and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being an HP shop.
Yep.
Especially when you got the gold support, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what I had until all of a sudden, cash crunch. So, so support was never an option anyway, right? I'm the support, and I'm fine with that, right? And text, we just get the call in the middle of the night, and then we make it happen. It's all good. But what I was trying to say was I spec'd out this similar rig over at Dell, and it was like $4,500, and I wasn't even to the gold support yet, and it's like.
Yeah.
To do like a 2950 is I think the server.
1950.
1950. Yeah, something like that. It's either the 29 or the 19. Anyway, like you get to the $2,000 level or whatever, and then you got like 280 gig hard drives, and it's like, I don't need 280 gig hard drives. I want the big game,
Yeah, we've got a lot of cool stuff that we're actually, that it's the first time that we've actually bought it.
Mm-hmm.
We've been building machines for ourselves personally for a long time, but this is just a box full of awesomeness.
Yeah, cool. Well, let's get into the boxes full of awesomeness. But first, let's check in with Shannon and see what's going on this week in trivia.
This says LAN party is next. You're a noob. All right. This month's LAN party is Counter-Strike Source, and we are going to be playing over at css.hack5.org on Saturday, June 27th, which is this Saturday. Make sure to sign up and vote for future games over at hack5lan.squarespace.com. Thank you, Squarespace.
As you know, Squarespace is the quick and easy way to build a beautiful blog or website without ever messing with any code. And over the last 6 months, Squarespace has grown over 100%, and they attribute much of that growth to fans like you. As a special thanks to Revision 3 fans, Squarespace will be giving away an iPhone a day for the next 30 days to lucky fans. All you have to do is include #Squarespace into a tweet to be entered into the drawing. A winner will be chosen at the end of each day and announced on squarespace.com and twitter.com/Squarespace.
Let's take a break, and then we're going to get into that hardware, and Darren's probably going to hurt himself.
All right, guys, so as you can see, we are just about ready to start our construction project. And if you don't know how to work a screwdriver,
Learn how.
learn how.
It's basically a Eternit.
Yeah, we're going to move kind of fast and only pop up when we need to, but first we're going to give you a little overview on what we've actually got. Right here, we've got a 3-bay enclosure. Well, no, it's 5 1/4,
Right.
but 3 5 1/4 inch bay. That holds 4 hard drives that are hot swappable, and it's just got kind of connectors on the back that you connect directly in. They slide in all pretty and stuff, and Darren's going to do that, and hopefully it doesn't break the Western Digital 1 terabyte black editions that we got. See, he broke it already.
Did it really?
Probably.
Okay. Well, it's just a terabyte.
Oh yeah, you broke it.
No, it slides right out. Anyway, I just didn't want to force it. Anyway.
Yeah, like that. Let's. Unbelievable. Anyway, so
I put it in upside down.
Good God.
I didn't realize.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
That's hilarious.
There's the connector right there. Anyway, so they just slide in, and then, when the light turns green, the trap
holding
is
it
clean.
upside down. That's why. There you go.
Oh, there's a right side up. Anyway.
So we've got 12 gigs of Corsair RAM here. Now this is DDR3 because we're using a desktop board.
We're not using ECC.
We're not using ECC, which is sometimes what you'll have on Xeon boards. You're going to need to use ECC. Some of them require it, but desktop board doesn't require it.
And that's how this is coming in under $2,000 is because this is, basically just a very beefy workstation, but for all intents and purposes, it is a server. So
we've
that
got the
kind of brings up
the Core i7-920.
Hooray.
Amazing bang for the buck. I think the processor is like 240 something now.
It's all down there.
Something like that.
I forget the price, but
the price to performance ratio of this chip, we're not going to overclock it, even though with this beast of a board, this is a $260 board. Last I checked, the P6T Deluxe V2, which is an absolute feat of engineering. It's a shame that most of the stuff that's actually on the board isn't supported by ESXi, which is why we had to get a couple other things. But regardless, you wanted a rock-sit solid board that didn't have any problems.
Yeah, and that's supposedly what the P6T is. So and I've had good success with Asus boards in the past. So
we've got a MSI 8400 GT, something like that, some cheapo, just video out.
Yeah.
We've got
a 650 watt power supply. It just so happened to be a Corsair. It probably could have been just about anyone else, but I just didn't want to skimp on it.
I wouldn't go with if it's going to be a server, I wouldn't go with like a Rosewell or a
Yeah,
a
no,
Chai
no.
a Tai Chi or something.
I would even go with a PalMax. And it's pretty much like
Yeah.
Thermal Take or a Corsair or
Cooler Master.
Cooler Master, yeah.
And the last component,
Antec.
critical component we've got is the 3-wear RAID controller. That's the MSI.
So lots of happy hard drives. And this is, I mean, pretty much this and the other PCI component are the big deal when it comes to the difference between the onboard stuff that we would typically be using if this were, in fact, our, just like, pulling out from our closet or under our bed computer versus, this purpose-built one is that, we've got dedicated cards to, rather than just using what's on here. I mean, they're dual NIC on here. We've got dual Marvel gigabit NICs. But we got it dedicated for that, and same thing with the RAID. So tell me about this 3-wear, because you are crazy about them, and that's why I went with them.
Well, I like 3-wear simply because they offer, obviously you're not going to be using the RAID 6 because you want more storage. However, RAID 6 is RAID 5 bumped up a notch. It's N-2, so it's dual parity. And the reason that I like it...
So I could lose 2 drives and still keep going.
Yes.
That's nice.
But beyond that, this supports RAID 50, which I'm a big proponent of if you're running, 8 or more drives or something like that. And then also, your single disk and your JBOD action. But the nice thing is, if you're looking to spend a little bit of money, actually a lot of money, they have a single card that will do 16 drives on a single card.
Right. That's pretty hot, 16, yeah. And that might be something that, I'll consider later. The other, kind of cool thing about this particular case, which is a Rosewell, but I trust their case, not their power supply, is the 4-bay action, the 3-bay 5 1/4 action, both here and here. This one's got a fan in it at the moment, but later on, what that means is I could pop another one of these guys and go from 4 drive to 8 drive. Of course, then I would need to rethink my RAID because that is using my single PCI with the small connected. You
can plug small ones into big ones.
Ooh, that's exciting. Well, in that case, hooray for small ones into big ones. Matt knows a lot about that one. So without getting too much more ahead of ourselves, I think the only other component was the NIC, but it's just your standard Intel 1000G GT, something like that. Anyway, which is on the supported list. If you head over to VM-help. Yeah, that's the place. The 3-wear card is supported by ESXi, but it's not on the official VMware supported list. So we're going to have to make a modification to ESX. Okay, and the other difference there is, and I asked you about this, is do we install ESX on the data store on our nice little 3 terabyte RAID we'll have here, or do we pop it on some other drive?
I'm a big fan of separation. So we've got a 4 gig Patriot XT flash drive that we're going to actually throw it onto. They do make headers for you to plug like a USB key right into the board, but we've actually got
Well, we've got a breakout cable.
A dongle.
So, yeah,
we just got a dongle.
There we go.
So
I'm sure it's in this box. So yeah. And
without further ado, I want to build some shit.
all right, cool. Well, let's start turning some screwdrivers.
So Darren, first now we're going to install some processor loving. I like to do everything external of the case, simply because it makes it easier.
Yeah, I agree.
We just went with the boxed cooler because we're not going to be overclocking it. So
This isn't a hot rod.
yeah,
And the difference between the Xeon here versus the i7 version of the Nehalem chip is basically we're not going to be able to go dual processor later.
right.
And that's kind of a shame, but if we were building, like the $2,000 ultimate application server, maybe our money would have been better spent in the horsepower arena, but I think a single quad core is going to run a couple of VMs just fine.
Yeah.
So as we explained, we are not installing the actual ESX server on the RAID there. What we'll be doing is installing it on this nice little USB drive, and to just make sure that the cleaning lady or nobody stupid at the office unplugs our server, what we're going to do is, Matt said that there's, the headers that can plug right onto the motherboard to get internal USB. We didn't spring for that and just took the internal header that would normally go on a PCI backplane dealy here on the back of the computer, and we're going to plug in our USB, and then we'll find some way to just kind of like screw it in somewhere inside the computer. It'll be fine. So our operating system kind of chill out over here.
All right, so we are just about ready to wrap this sucker up and actually get installing some software. But first, we're going to kick it over to Shannon for this week's trivia.
Last week's trivia question was, what two German researchers discovered in 2008 a flaw in WPA TKIP that can decrypt short packets, such as ARP messages? That was correctly answered by Somkin. Congratulations, Somkin. He answered with Eric Tews and Martin Beck. Somkin, we're going to be sending you some sweet swag from the Hack Shop. Next up, I'm going to tell you about this week's contest, but first, let me thank our sponsor, GoDaddy. If you want to make an impact online, GoDaddy.com has what you need. .com names as low as $1.99, plus world-class hosting, fast and easy website builders, and much more. Plus, you can go over to revision3.com/GoDaddy to find all of Hack5's sweet coupon codes. Next up, let me tell you about our contest this week. This week, we want you to spec out your own $2,000 white box server. Specifically, we want to know why you chose it and what parts you chose, and we want you to tell us about that over in the episode 519 release thread at hack5.org/forums. We'll pick our favorite entry and we'll send you some rad Hack5 swag along with the very last Hack5 shot glass. Next up, the guys are going to build the ESXi software, and first, we're going to take a break.
Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go.
I want to let everybody know that Gamefly is an amazing service. They are the largest online video game rental service and offer a choice of over 6,000 new and classic titles across all consoles and handhelds. With plans starting at $15.95 a month, Gamefly members can rent 1 to 4 games at a time and keep them for as long as they like. You can also purchase a game if you fall in love with it. They'll send you the box and the manual for a nominal fee. Head on over to gamefly.com/hack5 to get 2-week free trial membership. Gamefly.com/hack5. All right, guys, so the hardware is all assembled. We haven't plugged in the hard drives yet for the data stores, but first we need to install the software simply because we have that patch that we need to complete.
That's true.
So what we're going to do now is we are going to start it up.
And we have unplugged some of the giant bitchin' fans just because, with the mics and everything. So
They were a little loud.
yeah, just a bit. Like most servers are.
That CD-ROM drives.
Yeah, the CD-ROM drives
This has
crap.
been out of
but-
control here in a second.
Now, I mean, for example, your server, okay, is what, a $22,000 server, 128 gigs of RAM.
Yep.
Has how many fans? How many redundant fans?
Well, it has fans that blow, and then it has fans that suck. So it's like kind of thing.
I'm having a Wayne's World flashback. It's awesome. So that thing must really sound like it's taken off when you.
Well,
turn
I
it
mean,
on.
when you first start it, yeah, they're always at 100%. And apparently, I missed the
No boot partition.
yeah,
Oh, hey, you have to change in the
I
BIOS
think
for
so.
the yeah.
shitty.
So let's go into the BIOS and change the boot priority.
Yeah, I like that idea.
All right, there we go.
After a little bit of troubleshooting, we found that we actually disabled the storage controller, and that a Tappy CD-ROM is not the same as IDE Pioneer. So
It's all right, whatever. I mean, play with the BIOS to your heart's content. What are we doing here? So
we are loading the ESXi 4.0 thin installer, which is going to be a little bit more intensive than the 3.5 version that we installed on the little shuttle
Right.
computer. Remember 4.0, 64-bit, 3.5, which you could still download and get keys for 32-bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be, oh, that's right, we don't have to hack one of the OEM.tgzs, although
No.
if you do have some...
We are going to have to pull up the instructions for it, though.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Good times.
So let's take a look at this dotted lines and speed up in post.
Yes. All right, so basically we didn't have our data store drives installed.
Right,
We
they're
haven't
basically turned
configured
off.
them on the RAID controller yet.
Have we plugged in the Molex? So,
No,
yeah,
not
so
yet. So the only thing that's actually a storage controller right now is this little blinky blue light, and this is what's actually...
yes, the blinky blue light is a 4 gig hard drive.
and we're actually installing ESXi to this because ESXi has native USB device storage controller kind of thing, because that's when you buy one from Dell, IBM, or HP,
An ESXi server?
they just stick one on the board and
That's exciting.
That's
You're
what it
actually
is.
showing me a little widget that actually goes on the motherboard
Yeah.
to turn one of those connectors for an internal USB into an internal USB, so you can just pop a drive in there.
Yep.
That's hot. So it's good to know that we're installing to the right place, because it's the only place it could be going,
right, exactly.
unless it's made out of voodoo. All right, so now we're not going to go through the RAID configuration per se, just because it is different from card to card.
Yeah.
But it is important to note that with this particular white box, there are going to be some compromises, sacrifices, whatnot. Some interesting
Some little
gotchas,
quirks.
some little quirks, right? But I mean, you know, we're also saving a couple grand here. So the point being, this beautiful little 3-ware card here, the RAID controller that's hooking up the RAID 5 on the 4 1 terabyte drives in there, is super sexy and sweet, and is supported by ESXi.
Directly from 3ware.
That's the difference, though, is it is not built into the, it's built into VMware. So it's akin to saying, you know, oh, I got that cool graphics, I don't want to be a graphics card, but
It's
anyway.
it's like installing Windows and it doesn't recognize your network card right away, so you got to install some drivers.
Right, because you decided to get a Fujina card instead of
Intel.
Intel. There you go. That's a good one.
So what do we got to do to get this thing working?
Okay, so this is nice because 3ware has a beautiful little knowledge base with all the step-by-step. So basically all we have to do is come in here to our, and I think I actually have to be logged into vSphere first. So let me go ahead and do that down here.
Okay.
And as you can see, I'm going to pull up the vSphere client, log in. All right, so we're loaded up here into vSphere client. And what's cool, though, is to install these drivers, what we actually need to do is use the vSphere CLI client. I had actually never used this. This will be my first time, so
Yep.
I'm excited to pop the cherry on that.
So what are the steps? Do we need to put it in maintenance mode first?
Right, and you could probably speak to that better than I could, but basically we need to bring the server into a special mode so that we can mess with it. So we just go into our client here under inventory, and I think it's under administration.
Just right-click on the host.
Oh, right click here. Voila. And yes, we want to go into maintenance mode. Sweet.
Okay, so
Complete.
it's in maintenance mode.
He's chilling. He's just doing his thing, ready to get worked on. Little love. We're going to pass him some goodness, reboot him, cross our fingers. If the Etherlords loved us tonight, then we will go and get some buffalo wings. If not, we will probably still just go get some buffalo wings and finish this tomorrow in post.
Yes.
So, here we are. This is the command line interface. Basically, it's just a bunch of Perl scripts. We have already gone into the bin folder here, and we're going to execute the vi host update Perl script here and specify our server, our root user, our marvelous password here, and basically this offline tac bundle.zip that we've popped in our root is the bundle that we downloaded from 3ware. That's our drivers for ESXi. And it's going to go ahead with the TAC no signature, just like you would on
When you're in
non-HQL drivers
local
in
hard,
Windows. Yeah. And then we can press enter and see what happens. And as you can see here in the background, what we got going is we can see that we've got install in progress. Hooray. Give that some time. Let it work its mojo. So, bam, it's installed. All we got to do is kick the server. So let's go ahead
We need
and
to take it out of maintenance mode
Yep, here we go. Exit maintenance. Hooray.
and right-click.
And say goodbye, reboot, yes. It's not
Yeah, you can
maintenance
reboot
mode.
it.
Yeah. Reason? Installed RAID goodness.
He actually writes it down.
No. You know when you like shut down Windows and it's like or no,
Space,
you reboot,
enter.
Yeah. You know when you like reboot Windows and it's like Server 2003 and stuff. It's like, why did I shut down? It's
Yep.
like, cause you're stupid.
I need that thing so we could see.
All right.
Hit load the one from there. So the good news is, after the reboot, we actually have the card recognized by ESXi flawlessly, booted off our USB, and it can see our hard drives. Now, if we actually go over to the storage adapter list.
Right, so we're back here in the vSphere client, and we can actually take a look here that we have our RAID.
Yep,
Our
9650.
9650 SE SATA 2 RAID. And there we go. So we can go ahead and start creating volumes as you've shown before. And I know that we breezed through, didn't even really touch too much on the ESXi installation, but you can reference prior episodes
Exactly.
for that. But it's exciting to put together new hardware, and I think this is a testament to how far you can take this when you actually do a little bit of research on what white box hardware is compatible. And for that, we got to give shout outs to ultimatewhitebox.com as well as vmtechhelp.com. Great places. Also, if you're like me and you shop on Newegg for stuff, just hit that feedback stuff. Check out the comments and then search within the comments for just ESX and see what works.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Newegg's a great place to go, and just the VMware community forums, and like you said, pretty much there's a bunch of different places that you can go, but probably somebody's done it before, so you just got to figure out who and how they did it, and if it worked 100%. But we have a fully functional quad core running on an Intel i7 920 with 12 gigs of RAM and a badass fucking RAID controller.
I love it. And look, we're only at 43 megahertz being used, so we've got a ton of megahertz to go ahead and throw at all those fun accounting servers and other excellent Active Directory and IIS and all that crap that I need to run. So anyway, I'm definitely going to put this to good use. I'm stoked to finally have, even combined, it's like 4 times the hardware is like the, the Dell
I would
boxes
say
got
probably
sitting.
a little more.
Yeah. So we do want to remind you guys that it's just one viewer now, that we love your feedback, especially on experimental crazy shows like this one. And go ahead and hit us up, feedback at hack5.org, post in the comments, hit up the forums, and that is, of course, where you can also spec out what you guys would have your dream server here. I mean, we could dream gaming rigs all day long, but we want to hear what you would do with $2,000 for your infrastructure and whatnot. So let us know, and we will be doing the contest thing. That's pretty much it. Did you have anything else?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Store, feedback,
Yeah, definitely support the show. I mean, if you like what you're seeing and you want us to continue, we, get a lot of love out of that. We love your support with the store. So hack5.org/hackshop is where you can get t-shirts and other fun stuff like that. Yeah. All right, cool. I want to let you guys know to stick around at the end of the show after the credits. You can watch highlights from HP's Insight of the Experts video series. And with all of that said, and with ESXi booted, we're reminding you, trust your techno lesson.
Congratulations, Darren.
Yeah, man, my server's got like a badass graphics card. You wanna like bench, You wanna run PC Mark, 3D Mark? I got the scores, man.
Do it, man.
You should see my server running Quake 3 client. Hold on, cowboy.
If you did a test burn, somebody's getting some noogies.
What's a test burn? You can do that?
Yes.
Oh. Is that the button next to real burn?
Wait, what? I was so out of it just now. What?
Boot. Come on. Boot. Yes! See, you just had to give it a little love and then bam. You could suffocate in here.
And then just fade to black.